When we try to suppress unwanted thoughts and emotions, they actually grow stronger. Today, I'm breaking down Jung's 9 most transformative psychological insights. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating self-sabotaging patterns despite knowing better? Or why your relationships follow predictable cycles of conflict? These revelations explain our unconscious behaviors, projection of insecurities, and struggles with finding meaning. By the end, you'll understand the hidden forces driving your actions and discover practical solutions to break free from these patterns. Ready to break the cycle and reclaim your inner power? Then make sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology that shapes your life. What if the answers you've been searching for aren't out there in the world, but hidden inside you all along? Our society teaches us to look outward for solutions: more money, better relationships, nicer possessions. Yet countless people achieve these external markers of success and still feel empty. Jung captured this profound insight when he wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Society conditions us from childhood to value external validation. Parents praise visible achievements, good grades, sports trophies, popularity. Teachers reward performance over internal growth. This messaging follows us into adulthood, where we chase promotions, relationships, and material goods, expecting them to fill an internal void. Like chasing a mirage in the desert, we pursue these external markers only to find the satisfaction they provide evaporates quickly. The problem is that we build lives around others' definitions of success rather than our own. Many clients come to me having followed paths prescribed by parents or society. They became doctors, lawyers, or executives despite having no genuine passion for these fields. They checked all the required boxes yet feel profoundly disconnected. One client explained it perfectly. "I woke up at 40 realizing I had followed someone else's map and ended up in a life I never chose." Jung discovered through his clinical work that true fulfillment comes from understanding your personal myths and core beliefs. He observed that people focused exclusively on external achievement often experienced psychological breakdowns in midlife. The neglected inner self eventually demands attention. This insight holds even greater relevance today. Social media creates constant opportunities for comparison. We scroll through curated highlights of others' lives, judging our reality against their filtered presentation. Each notification triggers dopamine, training us to seek validation externally rather than developing internal security. The average person checks their phone 96 times daily, each instance reinforcing outward focus. When people turn attention inward, transformations occur. Michael, a successful executive with apparent external success, suffered from persistent emptiness. Through introspection, he discovered his career choices stemmed from childhood insecurity and fear of poverty. His anxiety wasn't a defect but a messenger signaling he had abandoned his authentic path. By reconnecting with his genuine interests, he found meaning no achievement had provided. Sarah cycled through relationships seeking worth, feeling increasingly hollow with each breakup. She realized she had never developed an identity separate from others' perceptions. Her work wasn't finding a better partner, but discovering herself first. As she built self-relationship, her connections with others became more genuine. The inward journey begins uncomfortably. You face parts of yourself you've avoided, insecurities, unmet needs, fears. Beyond this discomfort lies authenticity. You distinguish between what you truly value and what you've been conditioned to pursue. Patterns keeping you trapped in cycles of seeking and disappointment become visible. Jung's statement, "Who looks inside awakens," means true self-awareness comes from examining your own beliefs. You awaken to the reality that many desires aren't actually yours, but internalized expectations from family, media, and society. The awakening comes when you identify your own voice beneath all conditioning. This process isn't selfish. People with strong inner awareness often contribute more meaningfully to communities because they act from authenticity rather than obligation. They make choices aligned with true values instead of reacting to external pressure. Begin with simple questions. What would I do if no one would ever know? What activities make me lose track of time? What did I enjoy before caring what others thought? When do I feel most alive? These questions cut through the noise of expectations, reconnecting you with your authentic self. Looking inward reveals something many aren't prepared to face. When you start this journey, you encounter not just your conscious mind, but the shadow aspects you've been denying. And that's where Jung's next crucial insight becomes essential for your growth. Have you ever wondered why you're instantly irritated by certain people, even when they've done nothing wrong? That feeling when someone walks into a room and your mood changes without any logical reason? Jung discovered that this strange reaction often reveals one of the most powerful hidden dynamics in your mind. Jung's second major insight was that psychological wholeness depends on integrating what he called your anima or animus, the opposite gender aspects within your personality. These represent the feminine qualities in men and masculine qualities in women. Not about stereotypes, but psychological elements that exist in everyone regardless of how you identify. Most of us remain unaware of these contrasexual aspects or actively reject them. Men often push away emotional sensitivity and nurturing instincts, while women frequently suppress assertiveness and analytical thinking. This rejection creates a psychological split affecting all your relationships. I witnessed this pattern repeatedly in therapy. The husband who mocks his wife's emotions while bottling up his own until exploding in rage. The woman who criticizes her partner's workplace aggression while avoiding asking for her deserved promotion. Both are fighting against unacknowledged parts of themselves. When rejected, these aspects function like hidden weights, destabilizing your psychological balance. They don't vanish. They go underground and emerge in distorted ways, creating an internal conflict that drains energy and undermines relationships. Consider James, a finance executive who prided himself on being logical and unemotional, criticizing colleagues who showed vulnerability. "Business is business," he'd say. "Feelings have no place in the office." Yet in our sessions, he'd have unexpected angry outbursts when discussing certain coworkers. His rejected emotional nature wasn't gone. It emerged through projection and dysregulation. Unable to process feelings healthily, they erupted during stress. Or Melissa, who came to therapy confused about repeatedly choosing controlling partners. She described herself as too nice and unable to stand up for myself. Through our work, she realized she had rejected her own inner assertiveness and was unconsciously drawn to people who expressed this quality she denied. Rather than developing her own strength, she sought it in others, creating relationships based on unhealthy power imbalances. This pattern explains many relationship conflicts. We're often triggered by people who embody qualities we've disowned. The man who hates overly emotional people is usually uncomfortable with his own feelings. The woman annoyed by aggressive colleagues often struggles with asserting boundaries. Jung offered a practical suggestion. Pay attention to your strong emotional reactions to others. Your triggers aren't random. They're maps to your disowned qualities. That irritating person is likely displaying traits you've rejected in yourself. Consider someone who gets under your skin. What specific quality bothers you? Now ask yourself, where might that same quality exist in you, even in a different form? This isn't about self-blame, but using reactions as doorways to greater self-awareness. The transformation from integration can be profound. Men who embrace their anima develop greater emotional intelligence and authentic self-expression. Women who integrate their animus find their voice and pursue goals with confidence. Internal conflicts decrease as you stop fighting against yourself. This integration means becoming whole, acknowledging the full spectrum of human qualities rather than restricting yourself to limited traits. A man can be both strong and tender. A woman can be nurturing and powerful. The process challenges your comfortable patterns, but offers greater internal harmony and authentic relationships based on wholeness rather than projection. When you embrace all aspects of your personality, you stop looking for others to complete you and start experiencing yourself as already complete. But there's another hidden realm revealing more about your true self, speaking nightly in symbols and images you might be ignoring. Your dreams hold messages your conscious mind resists, showing truths about yourself that remain invisible in waking life. Understanding this language is the key to Jung's next crucial insight. What if every night your mind is sending you crucial messages that you're completely ignoring? Think about it. For about a third of your life, you're dreaming, yet how much of that content do you remember when you wake up? According to Jung, this forgetting isn't accidental. It's a defense mechanism protecting you from truths you're not ready to face. Jung's third major insight reveals something profound about dreams. They show you what you need to see. They reveal your inner truth and reality as it actually is, not as you wish it to be. This perspective marked one of the significant breaks between Jung and his mentor, Freud. While Freud saw dreams primarily as disguised wish fulfillment, Jung recognized them as compensatory, showing what's missing or unacknowledged in our conscious awareness. Picture dreams as cryptic postcards from your unconscious mind, arriving nightly but often discarded before you can read them. Most people either dismiss dreams as meaningless brain static or forget them entirely. That fading impression of something important when you wake up is gone by the time you're brushing your teeth. This dismissal costs you access to vital information about your unconscious mind. Jung believed this dismissal was psychologically damaging, essentially ignoring half of your mental life. Dreams speak to us in images, and they give expression to instincts, the most elementary entities of our nature. Jung discovered that dreams communicate through symbols and metaphors, expressing truths we're unwilling or unable to face in our waking life. That lingering discomfort from an unsettling dream isn't random. It's your unconscious mind trying to get your attention. Take a moment to reflect on a recent dream that stayed with you. What emotions did it evoke? What might it be telling you? In my practice, I see how dreams reveal suppressed truths. One client kept dreaming about her childhood home being flooded. Through analysis, she realized these dreams reflected her overwhelming emotions about caring for her aging parents, feelings she had been suppressing. The dreams weren't random. They were showing her what she refused to acknowledge consciously. Your unconscious mind uses dreams to maintain psychological balance. When you neglect certain aspects of yourself in waking life, these elements appear in dreams, demanding attention. This explains why dreams can feel strange or disturbing. They're compensating for the one-sidedness of your conscious attitude. Consider that common dream of being unprepared for an exam. You're in a classroom, suddenly realizing you haven't studied or can't find the room. This rarely reflects actual academic concerns, but typically points to anxiety about being judged in your waking life. Your unconscious uses this familiar scenario to communicate deeper truths about feelings of inadequacy. Jung suggested practical techniques to access this hidden wisdom. Keep a notebook by your bed and write down dreams immediately upon waking. Later, identify key symbols or themes and their personal associations. A house often symbolizes aspects of yourself. Water frequently represents emotions. Dreams can be analyzed by each of us, and not just in a psychotherapeutic context. Jung believed anyone could understand their dreams through curiosity rather than dismissal. Dreams become more intense during periods of significant change or stress, because your conscious attitude becomes more rigid, more attached to a particular perspective. Your dreams compensate by becoming more insistent, not punishing you, but increasing their volume because you're not listening to the whispers. Understanding your dreams can transform your waking life, giving you access to a more complete picture of yourself. Problems reveal new angles. Confusing relationships make more sense. Parts of yourself you've been fighting can be integrated rather than rejected. But knowing the truth isn't enough if you continue to resist it. This brings us to Jung's next crucial insight, one that explains why, even when you know what's wrong, you often can't seem to change it. The paradox of resistance is about to reveal why your problems persist despite your best efforts. Why do your problems seem to get worse the harder you try to push them away? You know the feeling. You're anxious about an upcoming presentation, so you tell yourself to stop thinking about it. Suddenly, it's all you can think about. Or you're trying to quit smoking, but the more you focus on not smoking, the more intense your cravings become. This frustrating pattern isn't a personal failure. It's a psychological principle Jung identified decades ago. Jung's fourth major insight, what you resist persists, reveals something counterintuitive about how our minds work. We've been taught that overcoming problems means fighting against them. Need to stop a bad habit? Just resist the urge. Feeling anxious? Push those thoughts away. But Jung discovered that this approach actually backfires, creating a psychological trap that keeps us stuck. Our natural response to pain or discomfort is avoidance. When you touch a hot stove, you pull your hand away instantly. This reflex works perfectly for physical threats, but when applied to psychological challenges, it creates the opposite effect. The thoughts, emotions, and problems you try to avoid gain power over you. Each act of resistance feeds the very thing you're trying to escape. Consider what happens when you're lying in bed unable to sleep. The more you try to force sleep, the more alert you become. Like trying to catch a shadow that moves faster the harder you chase it. Only when you stop struggling and accept being awake does sleep naturally arrive. This same principle applies to almost every psychological struggle. The more fixated we are in our negative or depressed attitude, the more we resist solving the problem. Jung was describing what modern psychologists now call the rebound effect. Your mind doesn't discard what you push away. It flags these suppressed elements as important and brings them back with greater force. Modern research confirms this insight.